Hi everyone, this is Bill Milford with the Division of Social Work at Thomas University, and I wanted to give you a brief overview of our CSWE EPAS and competencies, what they are, and why it's so important for you to know about them. First of all, if you are just starting with us, I want to welcome you to the wild world of social work. I think you will find this to be an incredibly fulfilling and meaningful career. And we are very excited about teaching social work with you. The Division of Social Work is accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which is the accrediting organization in the United States for all social work programs. If you've got a program that's of any substance, it is accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. So anytime you look for a program, whether for a master's, doctorate, or bachelor's program, you want to make sure that they're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. They create these things called EPAS, which stands for Educational Policies and Accreditation Standards. And basically what they're saying is, what are the elements that professionals, social work professionals think an educational program needs in order to be able to teach and develop good social workers. So it develops policies around how programs should operate, and then it sets standards that programs must meet in order to be accredited. It's important for us to meet these standards because we want to have an accredited program, and in turn it gives us an idea of what other schools are doing and what folks in the profession think are very important standards to hold in order for people to become excellent social workers. And it's important for you to understand that these standards are not static. It's not like we just have them and you do them. They are continually evolving. Every 7 years, the Council on Social Work Education changes them. So they are evolving along with the profession in order to meet the needs of the clients and the services that social workers are providing. So right now, what we're largely focused on is the 2015 EPAS. And in those, there are 9 competencies that the social work program at Thomas University has adopted. And those competencies are things that you need to be good at by the time you graduate from our social work program. They're listed right over here. However, you'll have a copy of them in your passport to the profession that we give you every semester, and you'll see that right down here. And the way it works is that we have these goals here, and we meet them by teaching these competencies in these classes here, all of the core curriculum for the social work program. So what I'm going to do right now is review each one of the goals and which class it goes into. So the first one is ethics and professionalism, to demonstrate ethical and professional behavior in all areas of practice. And this is, this makes good sense, and this is taught in our social work ethics class. And so you'll hear the instructor talk directly to the competency and to the behaviors involved with this particular goal. Diversity, to engage diversity and difference in practice with knowledge and sensitivity. And notice all these, that diversity just doesn't have to do with sexual orientation or ethnicity or religion. It has to do with people's abilities, culture, our educational level, the way we think. All of these things affect how we interact with our clients, and so to be sensitive to these will make us better practitioners. And this is largely taught in our cultural diversity class. However, you'll see bits and pieces of it in many, many other classes. Social activism, to advance human rights and social and economic and environmental justice. This means that we not only discover what problems are, but we go out and we do something about them. We try to figure out and we try to inspire people to speak for themselves and to rise up using their own power in order to create change. And that we especially focus in on issues of human rights, social, economic, and environmental justice. And you'll see this in the social welfare policy class, although we talk about it in our practice 4 class, which is practice with communities and organizations. Research, to engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. So you can see there's sort of a cycle of what happens here, that when we look at research questions, one of the things that we're trying to find out is what's the best way to help people. And so we come up with ideas about how to do this, and then we go about doing it, and then we take our information that we get from doing this practice, and we reapply it to our research. And we make sure that we share that with others so people know what's the best way to do things. When it comes to practice, we have an ethical obligation to choose the best practice first in order to make sure that we're assisting our clients the best. So this is taught in our social work research class, research and program evaluation. Policy, to engage in social welfare policy practice to impact micro to macro level concerns. Micro, meso, macro, going from one-on-one to groups to larger scale things like populations of communities and organizations. Social workers are involved with it all, and therefore you need to be able to know how to impact folks on all of these different levels. This happens in our social work, in our social welfare policy class, and again also happens in our practice classes. And then the last four all have to do with practice skills. That is, how we work with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities, and how we intervene and create change with them. So the first step of that is to build relationships, which we do through engagement. So those practice classes talk about how you can engage individuals, families, groups, and organizations and communities. It'll talk about those first steps of relationship building with all of those folks. Then the next step is figure out, okay, what's the problem here? What's going on? What are the things that need to be improved? So that is assessment. And so just like doctors will assess and they'll gather data from a patient in order to figure out what they think is going on, we do that too. We have to gather data to assess what we think is the issue of concern, and then we move on to intervention. That is, how do we create change? Just like a doctor might prescribe something for somebody to take or give an exercise for somebody to do to strengthen a muscle, we have to figure out how to intervene with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities to create an important, doable change. That is, you can have a great idea, but if the client's not going to do it, it ain't going to make no difference. And how to make those changes last. And then finally, we need to be able to evaluate whether those interventions we've made have actually made a difference. Because we could have a treatment plan for this tree that says, okay, well, here's what we want to do. We want to make sure that this tree gets better, and so we're going to try these different kinds of fertilizers and change the soil around it, et cetera, et cetera. We may have been successful in our treatment plan. That is, we may have given it everything that we thought was going to make a difference. But if this was the outcome, then, like we say, help isn't help unless it's helpful. So therefore, we have to change our strategy, go back and try again to make sure that we get the outcome that we want to achieve. So evaluation is all about, were you able to do what you wanted to do, and did it make a difference? All of these things, all of these competencies are pieces that we hope you will integrate into who you are, both as a professional social worker and in your own life. That's why we say, you be the change. Let these competencies change you. Let your knowledge that you pick up while you're in your studies with us change you so you can make the difference. You'll work hard, but we hope you'll work smart, and you'll change the world one life at a time, starting with you right here, right now. So glad to have you on board with us. And if you have any questions about these EPAS or the competencies, please talk with your instructor. Thanks a lot.